All right. Well, welcome everybody. Are we on?
Yeah.
You guys can hear okay?
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for coming out today to the celebration of Eric Thor Drummond and his celebrating of becoming an Eagle Scout, as well as his 18th birthday is today as well. So it's a dual celebration. This is great having friends and family surrounding him and sharing love, and we really appreciate you guys coming out today. Scouting's been a part of our lives for a long time, we'll say. Cub Scouts, Barbara has been involved with mainly for 9 years. I have been the ancillary helper, the face of Cub Scouts maybe, but and we've done that for 9 years, and now we've been in Boy Scouts for, I don't know, a lot. Still have a few more because we have 2 younger boys who are in the back who will need to come forward at some point later in the ceremony. But we still have a few more years with them. So it's just been wonderful. And I reflect on scouting. For me, you know, I told the boys when they were younger, and I would say, you know,
that's right. You got this.
I said, you know, every day, do what you can do to make the world a better place. And then I would ask when they came home, what have you done to make the world a better place? And I think scouting, I learned a lot about who I was through scouting. And I didn't embody that right away. It took some time. But now that I've you know, become a father and engaged with the world, I definitely have been able to help make the world a better place. And I'm hoping my boys can do the same. So one of the reasons we're here at this church is actually we're outside, one, because Scouts are about nature and conservation and being one with your environment. But 2, this is actually where part of Thor's Eagle Scout project. So this aspect that over here was what he had focused on. There was a fireplace here from another Eagle Scout project, but it had actually was seeing some signs of erosion from water damage from water running off the roofs. So with his water conservation project, he was able to help stabilize that project and then help plant more water into the soil here and stabilize this area. So he has a second half down there on the other side of the church, so he did 2 large projects. But that's kind of why we're out in this area and what scouting has meant to us. And so we look forward for the rest of our boys as well as you go forward. And we're celebrating you today, Thor, because not only are you an Eagle Scout, you're now an adult and a citizen of the world.
I have visuals. I'm a little shorter, so actually, do you mind holding on to this while? We knew we were gonna cry today, and hopefully be an example to our boys. It's okay to cry and get a little emotional. As you can tell, today is a lot about family legacy, and so this is why I'm here today. So, and all of this will be up here that you all can look at after the ceremony. We have family pictures galore on display, but this is a picture of my grandmother and her 3 Eagle Scouts. And it's the day that my dad got his Eagle Scout award, and he passed away in 1996. And I actually have to read this article because I think it's really funny. It's probably circa 1961-ish. The Stevens brothers, who have attained the Eagle Scout rank in local troops, posed with their mother, Mrs. Charles B. Stevens, at their home at 1408 Dial Court. I thought that was kind of funny with the publishing of the address, kind of funny to think about today. From left to right are Allen, Stewart, and Bennett. The young men attribute their scouting success to their mother, who, like all Scout parents, not only acts as chief prodder, but has to put up with such menial tasks as washing mountains of trail dirty Scout uniforms. I feel very close to my grandmother as Chief Prodder. And over the generations, and yes, Grandma Barb can appreciate that, and so can grandmas and aunts can all appreciate the prodding that it takes to encourage the young man in our lives to attain Eagle. And for the people in that picture, it was my grandmother's father, it was my dad and uncle's grandfather, my great-grandfather, Eric's great-great-grandfather, who created a 20-mile trail in Springfield, Illinois, that's called the Lincoln Trail. And I grew up hearing stories of the Lincoln Trail. And my dad hiked it with his cousin, who was actually a woman. And she summered here in Tucson. So she told me about hiking the Lincoln Trail with my dad. So that planted a seed that maybe that's something I should do with my boys one day. And then my cousin, the daughter of one of Uncle Ben there, her son is in a troop in Illinois. And they said, we're hiking the Lincoln Trail this year. Great. We're going to show up. We'll be part of your troop. And we'll hike with cousins, descendants of the person who created it in 1926. And that's the information that's kind of in the trifold you have is some of the background information on that trail. It's the trip that Abraham Lincoln took when he lived in New Salem, and he was teaching himself law, and he would walk from New Salem to Springfield and back. And that trail, 1,000 scouts will show up on that day to hike the 20-mile trail. And you're supposed to think about the adversity that Lincoln thought of and faced and overcame to become president. So that's kind of what you're supposed to be thinking about on the trail. And then supposedly when my great-grandfather was alive, you ended at his house where he quizzed you about the life of Lincoln. Fortunately, we did not have to do that. Well, we did something else. So this is the picture. The rain forecast was all day. And so hearing the rain forecast, we have flown into Springfield, Illinois. We're here, we're going to do it. Eric and I did not have waterproof shoes. So the day before we decided, we went ahead and bought the $50 waterproof socks. We could do an infomercial on them and how incredible they were. And we hiked all day in the rain. And only about, I think, was it 10 or 20% of the people that started that day actually finished. Our cousin we were supposed to hike it with did not finish. So we got up at 5:30. Grandma drove us out and dropped us off at 6:30 in the morning. We have our rain gear on. And Aunt Jess and Uncle Matt joined us. And Aunt Jess didn't have to do it, but she joined us. And this is the picture I want to speak to about Eric. It's kind of small. You can check it out later. This is about mile 7. At this point, his rain suit has completely split open. He is completely soaked through, and he is all smiles. And that is Eric. That's how you've been since you were born. And a scout is cheerful. You represent everything in the scout oath. And everything was on display on that day as we squished step by step and looked at each other and laughed and were like, why are we doing this? We're doing this for family legacy. Tradition. And the last about 4 or 5 miles is just one long straight country road, and it looks like you're almost there, but you're not. And Eric and I just looked at each other, go, any day now. This can end any day. We're good. And we're just, rain's dripping from our nose. But he never lost his sense of humor. He never complained, not once. And that's who you are. You faced adversity on that day, and you did it with such a positive attitude. And then it ended at Stewart Park, which is the name of my dad. We didn't know that. So it ended up being quite the pilgrimage. And there is my great Aunt Dee Dee, the sister to the Eagle Scouts, and my grandma who greeted us there. And then the local paper was there and said, the grandchildren of of Stevens is there, and so Eric actually made the front page of the paper, the City State, and that was big news in Springfield that day of the descendants of the Lincoln Trail, finishing it in a year that not many people finished, but we persevered. So that's our family legacy, and now I'll hand it over to Brian to talk about Watershed Management Group.
I don't know why you're handing it over to me to talk about that. It's my first time. So, today it's reflections and memories and, sharing thoughts and forward aspirations with you and with others here. And so a big part of your life has been Watershed Management Group, and it's a local nonprofit that I wrangled you into because that's what fathers do. They wrangle people into things that they may not want to do, but find out that they actually like, and it's not so bad as what their parents initially thought. So why did I get involved in that? Well, I was in the Navy, and in Guam for 3 years, I drove by the city dump. And over the 3 years, that pile got higher and higher and higher. We drove by the power plant, and it's spewing black smoke. We drove by plastic washing up on the beach. And I said, we got to do better. We can do better, and we should do better. And so part of this was, I was like, I'm going to go live in the desert. No water in the desert. I need to do something about this. I need to think this through. The survivability, it doesn't make sense to live in the desert without water. There was a green television show that just happened to come on in Guam. It was like all this new age, solar panels and all these different techniques and compost and all this. This kind of makes sense. New approaches to things that we think we have solutions for, but are actually probably better. So we came out to Tucson in 2012, and I was tired with the Navy, so I just went in the yard and dug for a month. Dug foxholes, as my wife described, thinking I was waiting for an invasion or something, but I was making berms and basins, and this was all based off of Brad Lancaster's book, a native Tucsonan, and he's kind of written the go-by for how to harvest the rainwater, things that we did 100 years ago, and we kind of threw away and said we can pipe water places. And so in doing that, I learned a lot of lessons from him and started applying them in the yard. We put in rainwater cisterns and a gray water system in our house. And so we said, yeah, it's pretty good. But the guy that put in our rainwater cistern said, hey, Brian, I think there's a group in town you should go meet. I said, all right, well, I'll go meet him. And he said, the only time you need to go meet them, though, is when they're having cocktails. And I was like, done. So I was like, I'm going for the cocktails. So we went for our rainwater cocktails, our rainwater margaritas, and I met Watershed Management Group at that point 8 years ago. And the boys came down, and ever since then, they've been involved. They've been active. Some of the things that Thor has done, initially he started at one of these events, washing dishes. Yes, my son used to wash dishes. I used the past tense in that. I hope he washes dishes again in the future, but he used to wash dishes. And the best part is, it wasn't just him. He wrangled his brothers. These three ladies who were doing the dishes were just like, I guess we don't need to do them anymore. We have 3 young boys doing dishes down in the Tinkerverde Wash. So it was actually a pretty cool first time experience. And then he got into it. And so some of the things he's done, he's gone down and planted trees in Flowing Wells neighborhood, which is a underserved area in town with a big heat island. So he planted trees there to help create a cooler atmosphere for those the people living in that neighborhood. He's gone to backyards with co-ops. He's done projects at schools. He worked at Agua Caliente School, helping put a rainwater system in there. He's worked on the day after Thanksgiving on a morning at someone's house and in their backyard. He's pulled Bermuda grass from yards. He's pulled a rundo, an invasive weed, from down in the wash here. And sometimes you can get a boy to dress like a man-sized beaver. So, and the best part is you wait till someone else wears that costume and is sweaty. And really sweaty old man gets in that, and then he had to get in it. So this was for a fundraising event. Did he get anything out of this? No. Was he paid back ever? No. But Thor had a beaver costume that he wore and danced. He was doing the floss in this for photos. So he's flossing in this thing. People take pictures with little kids and, old kids. So, but he was a really good sport to wear a big beaver costume. And I'm even wearing beaver socks to help celebrate, because this is part of a Restore the Beaver campaign that we were doing with Watershed, because beavers were native here in Arizona, whether you know that or not. And actually them building dams slows water flow, which keeps more trees, and more trees means more water in our state. So this was part of that campaign to reintroduce beavers here in Arizona. So some of the things that you have done with Watershed Management Group parallel very much what you've done in Scouts. In Scouts, you have to work with conservation. You have to be spirited. You have to have fun. And Thor had fun at these events too. So dancing a beaver is fun, but what's more fun is trying to make mud balls in a pit and planning to throw those at your father at a later time. So this was on one co-op, and then he got his brothers involved, and they're about to have, instead of a snowball, a mud ball fight. And a mud ball is a little serious than a snowball. Luckily, I was aware that these mud balls were going to be thrown in my direction, so we were ahead of that curve. But you've had fun doing these things, and you're making an impact. You're working with the community. You're showing citizenship. You're showing maturity. You're going out doing things. You're fundraising for people that you may or may not know, for causes that you may or may not see come about. And that takes integrity, and that takes determination and perseverance. And you should be very proud of the work that you've done with that. And going forward, you're interested in doing environmental science and taking that as his major in college. So even though your dumb old dad dragged you into doing stuff with Watershed Management Group, I think you took over. Oh, he also taught little kids berms and basins. So he did this, he's a great teacher with children, and that'll be a good segue into the next section. But he's a great teacher with children, so was doing online Zoom sessions with kids, teaching them about berms and basins, how to collect rainwater, and equating it to chocolate milk. Well, who doesn't want to catch chocolate milk? And he's like, you want to collect all the chocolate milk you can? And kids are like, I love chocolate milk. And so they were super excited, and he got a lot of good feedback from people in the organization about that. And they actually just did an article on you and wanted to talk to you and interviewed him for the annual report for the organization. So congratulations to all the work you've done with it. So this time I will turn it over to Barbara to talk about some of the work he's done with Camp Ramapo.
So once again, it's a family's fault, which this time it was Aunt Katie, who at age 20, after a tough summer, decided the next summer she drove herself to upstate New York as she was between sophomore and junior year in Ohio State, and signed up to be a counselor at a camp. And when she got there, the first lesson was how not to get bit. And she's like, oh, from mosquitoes? No, from the campers. It was a special needs camp with all sorts of special needs, and it was a way to give respite to parents where the kids could go to the camp. Well, she had a good friend she made there who came several Thanksgivings that we got to know, who recruited Eric because he went on to get his PhD in child psychology. He's like, Eric has a gift with kids. I think he would be amazing at this camp. So last summer at age 17, this is the picture up here that Brian caught. I was doing just fine watching him go. I was keeping it together until Brian showed me this picture that he took of me looking at my son's plane leaving for New York City all on his own, and leaving us for 6 weeks in the summer to work at this special needs camp. And that summer, again, Eric showed he had grit because a lot of the staff members quit after the first couple of weeks because it was so hard. And so he was supposed to be a junior counselor, working at the waterfront, kind of helping out a counselor in a cabin, to all of a sudden getting quickly promoted to being in charge every other night of his 16 to 18-year-old male nonverbal campers. And he had to do it all. In fact, he would put the mattress in front of the door at night on the nights he was on because he didn't wake up with the alarm that would go off. So at least they would walk over him and he would know that they were trying to leave. So he stepped into a huge role of responsibility at age 17, and you did it all on your own. You were equipped to do that. And so as you go off and you're graduating, you're ready. You've already done it last summer. You embody the Scout Oath. You're ready. So this is a picture of Aunt Katie, whose fault it was for Eric to do that, tradition. And her husband, Uncle Jeff, and this is them here supporting his Eagle Scout project. We won't talk about their pig waxing skills. And Uncle Jeff would love to be here today, but he's a first-year principal up in Phoenix and had to coach football, was it today? And ref football. But he would love to be here today. So this picture is honoring their work and support. They are always here helping out with all the Eagle Scout projects with smiles on their faces. And this is all of us together in Yellowstone this summer doing our favorite things, hiking. And this is the hard, so in the picture is my niece Maddie, and she is on her way to Eagle. And so my dad, I know, is proud of his son being Eagle, and now his first grandson, hopefully 2 more grandsons, but a granddaughter as well. And we'll see who makes it to Eagle first, whether it's Bryce or Maddie. They're the same age. So again, keeping family tradition alive.
All right. And so one of the last aspects of your life we want to talk about briefly is that this is his senior year of University High School. He has a couple classmates here today, and he has worked pretty hard there, and it's not an easy high school to be in. So as he's preparing yourself to go out into the world and be a citizen of the world, and I think a lot of the things you've learned at University High School have translated to Scouts as well, because you can't just phone it in there, even though when you try, you got to work hard and buckle down. And University High is, to be a public school and a top 20 high school in the nation, and the fact that you're on track to graduate from there is pretty good. Like, you got to take that, and accept that. And he's also not just doing that, but he's played 3 sports. He's been played on the soccer team for the last 4 years, the golf team for the last 4 years, tried to do volleyball for 4 years, but first year broke his leg, so need your leg to jump in volleyball. Didn't make the team, and then the next year it stopped because of COVID. But being a 3-sport athlete at a top high school, and you're also taking tough classes. You didn't shy away and take extra. You took an AP biology instead of like a drama. Bryce loved drama, but basket weaving. Yeah. So I'm really proud of you for doing that. So we've been reflecting on Thor a lot. We've been sharing some memories, but it's not just mom and dad. It's all of you here, and I'm going to invite some other family members up that I think want to share something, or don't. That's fine. Maybe blow you a kiss and call it a day. That's cool. So the first family member I wanted to invite up is Grandma Mary Ellen Stephen Sawson.
What am I supposed to say?
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
These are short too. I was with Eric when he was born, besides his mother. And Aunt Yvonne and Uncle Randy, we were the birthing team because Brian was in Iraq. And to see this 18-year-old today and to watch him grow and change in the 18 years has been one of the joys of my life. I moved here to be close because I didn't want to move to Texas, and that was my other choice. I moved here because they were here. And just to be a part of their lives has meant so much to me. And it's kept me young. It does. It keeps you sharp. I've met so many interesting people through your activities, and it's just expanded my horizons, which is pretty good when you get older, that your horizons keep expanding.
Yeah.
So thank you, Eric, for all the joy you've given. And I love you very, very much.
Next, we're going to have his Uncle Matt, Barbara's brother, come on up, who is also an Eagle Scout.
I am this height. Yeah, well, no, I mean, above all else, it's just so exciting getting to be with you, Eric, on this, both your birthday and Eagle celebration, which is so cool. What I have with me here is actually a letter that my dad wrote for a family friend when he was crossing into Eagle. Actually, this was the last year of my father's life, and I believe he wrote the letter because he wasn't able to make the ceremony. He was actually going through chemotherapy at the time for cancer, and what has now become essentially a family tradition. It's a letter that was actually read at my Eagles ceremony, which is now going on about 15 years ago. And so it's my honor to get to read it to you now. There's actually a line in here, it's a couple paragraphs in, talking about how you, in the prospective future, might get to read this similar sentiment to a future Eagle Scout down the road. And it is kind of cool to actually get to be living that out right now, here and now. And also, since I'm the only one in the family who won't cry while reading it, I got dubbed to also get to read it too. But we have a copy of it up on the table as well. But here it goes. So, dear Eric, for the Eagle Scout, Eric Thor Drummond. The 1950s statistic that I remember is that 1 in 10,000 young men will become Eagle Scouts. Whatever the current statistic, the Eagle Scout reward, which you have earned, and the honor you receive mark you for what those of us who care about you already know. You have grown and developed into an outstanding young man. Yours is a wonderful achievement, and we are proud of you. On the presentation of your Eagle badge, several learnings come to mind. When I was 29 years old, I developed an avid interest in sailing. Since I was 4 years old, I had vacationed at Lakeside on Lake Erie and often thought I would like to have a boat. I gathered all the literature, attending several boat shows, and bought a small 12-foot sailboat. I trailered it to Catawba Island boat ramp, launched it, and sailed out into Lake Erie. About a mile from the shore, it dawned on me, what makes me think I know anything about sailing? And what am I doing here? While panic threatened, I stayed calm and had a quiet confidence that somehow I knew what I was doing. Then it came to me. But of course, I have canoeing, rowing, swimming, and life-saving merit badges. I know a great deal about boating and water safety. The lessons have simply become a part of me. At age 48, daughter Sarah and I took a second backcountry hike into the Wind River Range of Wyoming. 5 days out and away from the trailhead, high winds blew Sarah off a boulder and she injured her knee. The next 2.5 days, we hiked cross-country and mountain trails 26 miles to the nearest trailhead, most of it without the benefit of a printed map. Temperatures at night were typically 25 degrees, and even though it was August, it snowed. We emerged safe, worn, and with awesome respect for the mountain wilderness. We had used first aid, survival, camping, hiking, backpacking, cooking, tenting, rope knots, orienteering, and compass skills that simply had become a part of who we are. It is the same now at age 50. Instead of passively receiving therapies which are both important and uncomfortable, I participate actively in the healing process. Being prepared is simply a part of who I am. 32 years from now, or in my case, 15, you will be able to give a similar speech. You will have similar learnings. You are not now fully aware of who you have become and all that you have learned. But you will be tested physically, morally, relationally, spiritually. Life circumstances will push you to your limits, where you will discover you are far less limited, not far less, than what you thought. Reading it off the typewriters type here. Being trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent will have profound and wonderful impacts on the whole course of your life. It is what you have learned, what you have become, and what you are about to discover about yourself. Because, among other things, you are an Eagle Scout. Congratulations and welcome. Signed, Stuart Stevens, and now from Matt Stevens Rich as well.
Thank you, Matt. Next up is my Uncle Randy and Thor's great Uncle Randy and Yvonne. Randy is also an Eagle Scout.
Thank you, Brian. I was honored a few years ago to speak at Brian's Eagle Scout Award event. I think it was about 20 years ago. Brian and Barbara now have shepherded Eric Thor to the Eagle rank. What a joy it is to be here and also help him celebrate. Becoming an Eagle is achieved by few and revered by many. It is a high honor that carries with it lifelong obligations and expectations. From now on, everyone will look at you and expect more from you, Eric. I can assure you, when I was pinned back when I was 18 years old, I had no idea I would be called upon to speak at my great-nephew's Eagle Award ceremony 50-some years later, and what a treat it is. The Scout Oath and Scout laws will continue to guide you throughout your life, and have been a big part to help me throughout my life. Well done, Eric. For many years, Eric and his family have traveled to our home in the Colorado Rockies to play golf. We've seen Eric tear up the turf, knock over numerous small aspen trees with a golf cart, and now drive a ball over 300 yards, many times not necessarily inside the fairway. But what a fun journey it's been. We know he is a long ball hitter, and we can't wait to be a part of his next long drive adventures in life. Welcome to the family of Eagles, and happy 18th birthday, Eric Thor.
Thank you, Randy. Next up is Jim and Sherry Drummond, my parents. Dad is also an Eagle Scout as well.
Well, Thor, we're very proud of you. Sherry and I are, but I have a question for you. What took you so long to make Eagle? You're 18. That's the deadline, and you just barely made it. But seriously, we are proud of you. And I'd like to follow up on what Uncle Randy said. You are a marked man. You are now an Eagle Scout, and you have a responsibility to all your family members who have been Eagle Scouts and all the other Eagle Scouts out there to uphold and to show people that you are the Scout laws and Scout Oath, and that you are capable of doing things. Because when and if, and we all have an if, you screw up on something, people are going to say, aha, he was an Eagle Scout. Look at him. That's terrible. And we don't want that, do we? I know you do. So just keep in mind that you have to fulfill a whole lot of responsibilities to the whole country. And we're very proud of you. Thank you, Thor.
All right, so I'm going to say something, but before we do that, we need to sing happy birthday.
Yes.
Because I need a little joy right now. So, all right, 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Eric. Happy birthday to you. I hope you have a place to stay tonight, bud. I don't know. You're 18. You're out of the house, right? No, you're still here. So I just wanted to say to you, I don't know if I tell you this enough, but I'm proud of you, and I mean that. I am. That's the thing. I'm proud of who you are and who you're going to become, because you're not there yet, and that's okay. A lot of us are still in the struggle. So I want to say, some of the key things of who you are at the core, your endurance, your kindness, your compassion, your mischievous monkeyness, your ability to see through tasks and see multiple ways around said tasks. But that's important. That ability has served you well. And we started in Scouts in a bungalow in Cub Scouts in Yucca Valley, California. And that's where we started. And now here we are ending this journey together outside. Beautiful area that you've helped improve. You put your time and love and energy into that. And you should be proud of that. You should be proud of who you are. Be confident in who you are. We've talked a lot about you today, which I know you love. But you need to embrace that and take that in. And it's hard. One of the hardest things for me is accepting compliments. And I'm over 40 and I'm still having difficulties accepting compliments. And it's okay to accept those compliments and take them to heart, because people are expressing that joy and love for you. And so you want that to come in. That's going to help. That stuff and who you are as a person is going to help you through the dark days and the challenges in your life. And there will be those coming. And I'm not forecasting bad things, but that's just how it is. But there's been a lot of laughs and joy, a lot of bumps along the road for you and I in the scouting journey. But it's been wonderful. And it's been wonderful to see the little boy who ran around in the bungalow wanting to, get in the front of a power tool and carve a Pinewood Derby car. And I was like, well, not yet, I want all your fingers. Like, we need to get 18 with all the fingers. So you do. All 18 fingers? Good to go? All right. So we're there. But now, when you were leading this project here, you were leading a project by yourself. It wasn't me doing it. It wasn't your mom doing it. You led that project. And leading people and being a project manager, huge skill set. Huge skill set. So I just want to say again, I am proud of you. And I have a gift for you today. So my gift to you is a letter. 18 years ago, I wasn't there when you were born. I was overseas, and the birthing team was there, which was good. Your mom had support, but I wasn't there. I called from Iraq just after you were born, and I've never been so happy in my entire life. I became a father for the first time, and I had the biggest smile I think I ever had on my face. It stayed there for 20 minutes. Didn't go away. I just sat and listened to you cry in the background. That was it. 20 minutes on a phone. And then I said goodbye to your mom, and knew I was going to see you hopefully at some point, but I didn't know if I was going to see you. So that night, I wrote a letter to you, to my 18-year-old son. And I didn't know if I'd be able to hand it to you. But today I might hand it to you. Luckily, I got to come home and see you 2 months later. And you were asleep. But once you woke up, the first thing you did was spit on me. Life doesn't get any better than that. I love you, and I'm so proud of who you are. I have no idea what the letter says, but it's yours. So. All right. Woo! That was the tough part. So, at this point, we have shared a lot of memories. And the next thing that we're going to do is the pinning ceremony for the Eagle rank. So I need Bryce and Tyler and Barbara and the Flying Thorito to Benaki. So in doing there's a couple things that change with becoming an Eagle Scout. We're going to give you a specific award, but you are no longer wearing this neckerchief. So I'm going to have your brothers take off this neckerchief, and they're going to replace it with an eagle neckerchief, which is actually my eagle neckerchief. If they choke him, they know first aid. Or they may let him go. This is a test for his brothers, too. So Tyler used to be a magician with handkerchiefs, but cooking is his better skill. How many brothers does it take to put on a neckerchief? And no, we're not having any more brothers. We're done. Anyone have any good jokes? What's silver and falls on the ground? All right. Good. It looks good to me. So the next thing is we're going to pin on your eagle rank. This is Uncle Matt's eagle rank. Outstanding. Now the next thing is going to be for you. So we have a father pin and a mother pin. And next is the mother pin. All right. So at this time, I would like to present to you the birthday boy and Eagle Scout, Eric Drummond. You may kiss your brothers. At this time, I'm going to turn the ceremony over to the Eagle Scout, and he will close it because he knows what he needs to do, and I think he has a few words and things he would like to say. boy, Big Mike.
Okay. So I was thinking about what I wanted to say, because everybody here has helped me so much through everything that I've been doing, and it's hard to thank every single one of you with a personal story. So I decided to just kind of thank everybody for coming here, because everybody here is the reason why I've been able to be here, and everybody's helping me grow to the person I am today. And so I want to thank everybody for spending your time, your energy, your help, and your guidance on me. None of you guys had to do any of this, but you willingly took time out of your lives to be able to take what you know and from your experience and make me a better person and a better scout. And so to see everybody still coming here and still showing up in the big milestones in my life, like right now, earning my Eagle Scout rank, it means a whole bunch to me. Because sometimes I don't think that everybody's always going to be there for me, but then when I get a turnout like this, it just feels, it makes me, I guess, warm inside. I guess is a great thing. I don't really know how to describe that. But one time when I was in Rampo, Katie was the reason for this, but I heard a quote, and so this was from one of the my aunt. She worked at Rampo once, and one of her friends, Arnold, he was my supervisor, and he told me a quote when I was up really late one night chasing around a whole bunch of campers because they'd all stripped and run around. And so I didn't really want to touch them, but I came back, and then at the same time, my best friend was also quitting from the camp, and so I was trying to. I had a whole bunch of emotions going on. And so to be able to help him, or to help me get through the moment, he said this: "We don't meet people by accident. They're meant to cross our paths for a reason. If a relationship doesn't survive the test of time, it doesn't mean it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. Not all encounters with people are meant to be or last forever. Sometimes people are in our lives just to teach us something. Sometimes the forever is not the person, but what we get from them." And so he said that, and this quote has lasted to me forever. Because normally I forget a lot of things, but this one resonated with me because I realized that everybody is here for just periods of time. I live with my family and my brothers, and they're the only ones that I'm around 24/7. And so every moment that I get with everybody here in this room, it's special to me. And so I have to treasure every single moment. And this shows that for however long everybody here is in my life, I have to treasure every moment that you give me because I don't know how long it's going to last. And so now, to help recognize some of these people that are in this room that have helped me get to this place where I'm at, I would like to ask first all of my fellow Eagle Scouts to come up and stand up, so that everyone can recognize who you are, because this is a long path. And so I want everybody to recognize the path that these people have gone through. So yeah, you can be seated. So they obviously know what path it's been through, and they shared what it's been like for them. And so I wanted to recognize you guys because I know what you've been through. And hopefully I reached the bar that you guys have set, which all of you have set extremely high bars. So hopefully I'll be able to, like my granddad said, live up to the expectation. And so, yes, thank you guys for giving me the push to be able to get to the place I am today. And so next, I would also like to thank all of the women that were able to support me coming here, because they couldn't be Eagle Scouts just because of the program at the time. Now, like my cousin Maddie, she's been able to become on the Scout to Eagle, or Road to Eagle. And so I would like to thank everybody with a sash and a letter to help recognize you guys. So, yeah. The first one I would like to thank is my Aunt Christine. And I chose paw prints because it's something that represents her, and Gracie, and I went on a road trip across the country with them, and yeah, keep me in line. Thank you. The next one is Katie. So we got you Ohio State because you went there and we ran out of fabric, but it represents you, and thank you for everything. The next one is Jess. So I got you this one because you have been on many campouts with me, and like my mom was describing, also the Lincoln Trail, in which she was trudging along, and I think that her boots were completely full of water, and she still managed to go the entire way. So thank you. And Yvonne. So this one is because you're a teacher, and you've taught me so many things, whether you thought so or not. One special moment that I've had is making omelets with you and Julia Child. And so that's a simple example, but everything that you do. Thank you. My next one is Grammy. If you could come up. So this one is Loon on the Satch because I go up almost every summer to a lake, and it's a special moment for me because it's a place that I eventually want to inherit. So that would be quite amazing. But also, and so, but it's also a special place for our family because it's a place where we can all gather, and I don't get to see him often. So when I do, it's a really special place to me.
He has to mind his P's and Q's if he wants to inherit. But we have a name for our place. It's the Looney Bin. We kind of think it fits.
For this one, it's Grandma Barb. And so this one, it has churches on it because she's a pastor, and she's kind of brought God into my life and continued it through everything I've done, and constantly reminded me that she's here for me. And then also she writes a whole bunch of postcards which describe all of her travels, and yeah, and so I keep those every time because it feels special to know that it's for her. My next one is for my grandma, and this one is a roadmap because she's been everywhere with me. Right, whether it's riding elephants, and we're kind of leaning sideways off the elephant, or going to New Mexico and riding the white sands in the rain. We always have had a blast together, and she gets me out of my comfort zone, and just makes my travels so much more exciting when I'm with her. So thank you. And lastly is my mom. And so I wasn't really sure what fabric to get you because you encompass everything, but I put footprints on it because we are everywhere. And you still somehow manage to keep, I think, saying all your ducks in line. And it's very impressive because I know how my brothers and I are. And honestly, you're the #1 support in my life through everything that you do. And I don't tell you enough, but I'm really, really happy to have you as my mom. I'm really glad to have you. So thank you. So I think that was the last one.
Put your sashes on, ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, listen to my grandma. Sash is on.
Sashay.
Okay, so lastly, I would like to invite my grandma Barb to come up to say a prayer over the ceremony, I guess, and to close us out. So if you can come up and say a prayer.
Oh, thanks.
She needs
Thank you.
I'm vertically challenged. Let us pray. Gracious God, in whom we live and move and have our being, on this special day, we give you thanks that in your great love 18 years ago, you gave us the gift of Eric Thor Drummond. How grateful we are for him, and that each of us here today has been able to be part of Eric's journey, some for all 18 years, some for most of those years, some for more recent years and days. What a joy it is to celebrate together this day, Eric's Eagle Scout achievement and his 18th birthday. And so we ask your blessing on Eric Thor today, dear Lord. Continue to guide his steps, that he might grow into the wonderful young man you dream for him to be. May all his days be surrounded with the knowledge of your love. And now, as we continue our celebration, sharing the gifts of the meal that has been prepared for us, we thank you for the many hands who have prepared it, and we ask your blessing on all these gifts. Be the unseen guest in our midst, and bless our meal together now. In Jesus' name, amen.